Last week has been quite insane and crazy for AI news, and we're going to see a very few bits of that which I found it newsworthy. First of all, there is a very proud moment. One of our subscribers created this. They saw this particular tool, Flux, that I was covering, and then made a completely new tool, Sketchmaker AI, where you can go create your YouTube thumbnail and everything. And this tool, they have made it also open source with MIT license. I mean, I couldn't be more proud. This is quite insane to see somebody who watches our videos building their own tool and then making it available for all of us. So I'll link this in the YouTube description for you to definitely check it out and then share the feedback. Start the repo if you have not. The second news is that the Flux fine-tuning is getting out of hand. At this point, FAL, FAL and Replicate are the two easiest ways to do the fine-tuning for yourself if you don't want to spend a lot on compute. For example, this is, I think, some senior person in A16Z, and this person has managed to create their own fine-tune, I think, on Replicate. So they've spent about like $7 for 75 minutes, and most of the cost is around like $10. I'm going to put together my own tutorial how to do this on Replicate. But again, if you are in for fun, there are a lot of exciting Flux LORA fine-tuning available on the internet. There is a new ChatGPT model or a new model that is powering ChatGPT according to OpenAI. This new GPT-4o model is there since last week. That could be one of the reasons why ChatGPT is doing slightly better in terms of a lot of these edge cases. But I'm not using ChatGPT a lot these days. I'm using either Gemini 1.5 Pro or Claude, depending upon the task that I'm using it for. So if you are using ChatGPT regularly, let me know in the comment section if there is an improvement. OpenAI also explicitly cleared that it is not a new frontier model. It is just an improvement to existing GPT-4o. So this is a slap on the face of everybody who are believing the strawberry rumors. OpenAI also introduced a new SWE-Bench verified. So if you remember the last video that I posted about the Devin killer, so the primary benchmark all these companies are using is SWE-Bench. This is a software engineering benchmark. Bunch of GitHub issues are there, and they are evaluating how these AI agents are going to solve that. What OpenAI has done it has taken all those questions, like around 2000 questions are there, and they've managed to create a new subset of those questions and said that, okay, these are much better in evaluating whether this AI agent or coding agent would do well. So they have released this particular benchmark. So you can go straight away start using this SW-Bench verified, and you can see what kind of questions are there and what kind of things are there. So this is a subset of 500 samples from SW-Bench test set, and they have human validated. So they put together human beings who validated it to understand that these are like actual good questions and also like the answers and everything. So if you were to use it for your own AI agent, whether it is Devin, Devika, or the latest system that we were evaluating last week, whatever it is, you should probably use it with this and then understand how it is doing. The next one, like I said, that Flux is getting out of control with the fine tuning, but it is not just Flux as Flux separately. Grok 2 that Elon Musk launched last week, which is a part of Twitter Premium Plus. So if you pay for Twitter Premium Plus or Twitter Premium, I think you get access to Grok 2 and Grok 2 Mini. And it is an excellent model at this point. I think you have to pay $8 per month and then you can use it. I'm not personally using it. I've not paid for Twitter as well, but maybe I might start doing it. But one of the things that Grok 2 also offers is that this chat-based image generation. And this is quite insane. And it is kind of uncensored. Like, it depends upon how do you want to call it, uncensored. But the main thing here is that you've got Flux inside Grok, and people are creating crazy things. Like if you just talk about images, they're playing with like Donald Trump, Kamala Harris, and then they're also creating a lot of different kind of images, like these kind of images which were not possible before. And people have also taken these images and then connected it with the Luma Labs or Runway ML, and then trying to animate that. And the kind of memes that people are creating are insane. But the main thing here is that you've got Flux inside Grok 2. So if you were to use Grok 2, you're going to get Flux as a free option. Another insane news. I mean, this is quite insane. Like, I've been like trying to get my head around this. One good thing here is that Nous Research, which is a community research group that I believe in a lot, that I respect a lot, has released a new model called Hermes 3. This is a fine tune of Llama 3 405 billion parameter model. I'm going to make a separate video altogether, but this is an excellent model. We always love Hermes models, like apart from the Mistral series of models, if there is like one of the model that I usually recommend to people, that is usually Hermes Finetune. But the main thing that I wanted to cover today is that not the model in itself. Model is great on all those things. There is a small segment in this blog post announcement that they called as an amnesia behavior. And this has created a lot of controversy. In fact, one of the very well respected YouTubers that I know, Centix, has been calling out this particular use case or this particular behavior that they have reported. And there are a lot of controversies or like back and forth discussion happening around it. What is it? They have said that when they had this 405 billion parameter model, which is the largest model, and when you prompt the 405 billion parameter model with some weird input or just a blank system prompt, what it does is it collapses into a role playing and amnesiac role. See, first of all, this is a good model for role playing. If you were to build your own character AI or something like AI therapist or whatever you want to do, this is a really good model. But what they reported is that, okay, at this point, the 405 billion parameter model, at a certain condition, it starts, saying weird things. For example, I've got no idea what is happening here or how I got here. Like I forgot everything. And it also says that I see a room, I see wall, ceiling, and blah, blah, blah. And then it says I try to remember anything, but there is just nothing here. My mind is totally blank. And they said that this is an amnesia mode. And according to them, this could be an emergent behavior. That's what they said at the start, somewhere in this blog post. But this has started creating a lot of questions around like, what do we call as emergent behavior? We know for sure that there is role-playing data in the training data set, and this model is kind of a particular prompt is triggering this model to get into that particular zone, the role-playing zone. They've also said that they observed this behavior only with the 405 billion parameter model, not the model that were like a smaller sizes model. So yeah, you can believe whatever you want to believe, but this is a crazy news. I am part of the school where I believe that this is no emergent behavior. It is just that the training data set, some kind of trigger is there, some kind of activation is happening that is taking the model into this role-playing behavior. But if you want to believe in something beyond this, if you think this is a fruit, this is strawberry, then yeah, you're welcome. The next really good improvement in terms of the current LLM phase is Sakana AI, which is I think a bunch of ex-Googlers have started this. At least one person who started this is from Google. And that person, like this company operates out of Japan. So they have created an AI scientist towards a fully automated open-ended scientific discovery. One of the things that Jan LeCun recently said is that, okay, all these LLMs that you guys are like celebrating will not produce anything that is not part of training data in some form or other. So this is a claim that Jan LeCun has been claiming quite a while. And then once again, then he reiterated it. Now that is a big bottleneck for using AI or current approach of AI with large language model without any kind of reinforcement learning to produce new scientific discoveries or to produce new drugs. Google DeepMind has been like hell-bent on this thing. They're like quite obsessed with this. But what Sakana has been doing, or what Sakana has done with this particular thing, is they've created an AI scientist who has actually created a bunch of papers. This is kind of like the approach that they've taken. So there is like an idea generation phase, and they've got like the experimentation and iteration phase. And as you can see here, you could see like some familiar names like Aider. They're using then finally to write the paper. So, and they've shared the paper as well. Like unlike most of these usual announcements where they claim that, oh, we have got emergent behavior, something great is happening with LLMs. They've actually gone ahead and then shared the paper that was created by AI, in this case, the AI scientist. This looks quite promising. And now the larger question is whether this is part of training data, whether this is memorizing, whether this is parroting. That is totally different. As a human, I also I'm literally reading a paper, literally reading a blog post. So I am also, like a parrot here. So I also memorize it. I have memorized a bunch of functions. That is how I'm a data scientist at my work. So the point here is that I'm not getting into the philosophical discussion of what is AGI, what is ASI, is it part of training data or not. All I'm saying is that this is an excellent project. I think this is what we want people to do. We want people to leverage what back in the day people used to call as swarm intelligence. people are not obsessed with that anymore. So back in the day when torrents were very popular, people are like, okay, if we can share data as like seeders and peers for torrent, can we share knowledge like that? Like a lot of swarm intelligence kind of an ideology was there back there, I think like 10-12 years back, and when I was like a fresh graduate. So now what you see here is that somebody trying to put together it for the LLM world that we live in, and it is quite excellent. The fact that Sakana has put it together and they've created a bunch of papers, shared the papers, very excellent. I would strongly encourage you to read it. They've also shared the code. So if you want to use the AI scientist is available for you to go ahead and then use it. I have not tried to run it yet, but definitely if you have got compute, if you've got a lot of GPT-4 credits, you should definitely try this out. The next thing is in the same lines, there has been a very popular library called Claude Engineer, and the person who created Claude Engineer, who is also building a very popular company, I guess. So they have released something called Omni Engineer. So rather than using only Claude, this is something that you can use with other API endpoints or LLM APIs as well. So Claude Engineer is a very successful project. It is very similar, like in the same lines of like Devin or Aider that you just saw here. So instead of using one LLM to do one thing, so can you use one LLM to create like a code base, interact with the code base, improve the code base? So that is the same thing here. So this is a project called Omni Engineer. I'm very much looking forward to try it out. I'm not sure if I'll be able to make a video, but I would strongly encourage you to take out time and then try out this library if you're interested in AI powered coding assistant. Instead of this being just a VS Code assistant or a Visual Studio Code assistant, this tries to be much more beyond that. And if you're a fan of Cursor, if you're a fan of like that concept of Devin and all the other things, you should definitely try out this library and then see how it helps. Another very important information, speaking about Claude, is that I'm not sure if RAG is going to be dead. So that is one question that I'm trying to answer. I might even put together a video asking, okay, is it like going to be the end of RAG? Like, is RAG is going to be killed? Because Claude has come up with prompt caching. This is not the first time somebody has released prompt caching. Like Google Gemini has been doing it for quite a while. And it is a very useful feature. Like if you, let's say there is a book, and that book is what you want to prompt regularly. The traditional way is to index the book. You are going to make it available as part of a RAG solution, retrieval augmented generation. But with prompt caching, you can cache that book and then do it with in-context learning rather than just doing it as a RAG solution. Now, that solution was there with Google Gemini. People loved it. But now what Claude is also doing, a very similar thing, which means if you have got a book, if you have got papers, documentation, podcast script, which you want to do it again and again, it is going to help you cache it. It could be like a code base. It could be like your very large, let's say, historic conversation. It could be large document processing. So a lot of places where we used to use RAG, at least with smaller context, now the prompt caching can do, and it can be extremely fast. It can reduce your cost when you compare it with, let's say, the typical LLM conversation. I think this takes us into the new era of how we want to build a lot of solution, including agents, how we want to enable memory at a particular layer. And it's going to be interesting to see the kind of the price play, gameplay, and all these things that all the different LLM providers are going to use. Notion has already added it because imagine you've got a Notion document and you want to ask question about the Notion document. And it's not like you're going to change the document every now and then. You just want to ask question. So it makes sense to cache the questions, like the prompts for that particular document, and then make you ask. And why not RAG is a useful question. But again, like prompt caching is always a bigger winner than RAG if you've got a smaller prompt. But RAG is going to exist, but are we going to see the decline of RAG? That's the question. The next thing is an interesting feature. Google had got an event. They had a bunch of announcements. One of the announcements is that they are launching something called Go Live, Google Live or Gemini Live. Basically, what they're trying to do is you can have end-to-end conversation with that. Yeah, just like what you do with ChatGPT now on the voice mode, where you have seamless conversation. So if you have not tried it, even if you do not have ChatGPT Plus subscription, you can definitely try it out. Open your ChatGPT application and click the headphone icon, and you can start talking to it. It's extremely useful. I used to love doing this with Pi, not like end to end, like seamless conversation, but at least talking to Pi was quite exciting. But yeah, Pi is like, I don't know what is happening at inflection at this point, but this is a new feature which would be like you can have a seamless conversation, and you can also make video and ask question. So this is a new feature, Gemini Live. I think it's going to be available for advanced subscribers. Like if you have used Gemini Advanced, you can probably use it at this point. I've not subscribed to Gemini Advanced, so I don't have a means to test it yet, but we'll figure out a way. But this is quite exciting, and I would love for these solutions where I can have seamless conversation than using a text to speech or speech to text to take my voice, transcribe into text, ask question, get it back. Another crazy feature with which probably I want to end this video is that Google has launched new Pixel phones. If you're a fan of Pixel phones, I've got a Pixel phone, very cheap model, not the flagship model, but the new Pixel phone, the 9 and 9 Pro, has got a new feature called Add Me. It's quite crazy and definitely again poses a lot of philosophical question. It's not a ghost, it's the human being. What the new feature is doing here is that the new feature lets you take a group photo. So let's say there are 3 human beings who are trying to take a photo, but who is going to take the photo? You don't want the selfie camera, or you don't want that kind of photo. You want a good photo. So what you can do is, out of the 3 humans, 1 human can go take the photo with the other 2 human, then come back, get them added themselves into the photo, because Google would retain the scene, and all you have to do is like one of these 2 humans can go back and take the photo, and this human can come back and then just sit wherever they wanted them to be placed. It's an insane feature. I can feel that a lot of people would love using this thing. This is but is this a group photo? I don't have an answer to this question. This is same question like a lot of other things, right? What you create as part of text to image generation, or what you create, what you make. But either way, this is the future that we are heading into, and let me know in the comment section what you feel about. See you in another video. Happy prompting.